the merrier. In finance and stock trading, there's nothing wrong with having a crowd. More people can help him build momentum. He arrived at his desk, located right in front of the hall, able to adjust the numbers on the large screen. There was a top-of-the-line computer here, with the best configuration and the most comprehensive financial trading websites. Upon opening it, he could see various financial data that many had browsed through, with trends appearing before his eyes. He knew that during the 2008 financial crisis, many fought here. How many people made a fortune and became tycoons in Hong Kong? And how many went bankrupt, becoming the poorest beggars in Hong Kong, with debts in the hundreds of millions or even billions? He felt all this, sitting here. He could stand firm, as he was a success. In this line of work, only the successful can survive. He looked at the crowd before him. Those who could remain here during the 2008 financial crisis were all considered successful. With a smirk and a playful smile, he planned to make a big move this time. Everyone knows that the world's top financial power lies with Wall Street. Those people in finance, no one dares to compare with them. When they raise a currency, we can only follow. When they lower a futures contract, we can only follow that as well. The crowd fell silent. Everyone knew that those on Wall Street were the true controllers of global finance. It was precisely because that group of terrifying financial tycoons gathered together, with a massive capital chain, that no one was willing to confront them head-on. They only wanted to follow them, and even getting a bit of the soup would be considered good. They never dared to challenge the authority of those on Wall Street. It wasn't that they were afraid, but that they never even thought about it. Yet this time, Qin Fei boldly declared, "I want to play a money game with those on Wall Street." He planned to take them on at their own game, and in the international dollar market, he would play with them using dollars. The crowd gasped. If an ordinary person had said this, they would have thought he was crazy. But coming from Qin Fei, not only the onlookers, but also the 10 traders he had brought along were excited, each one thrilled, including the 2 veterans, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming, whose eyes sparkled. They felt a surge of fighting spirit, something they hadn't felt in years. They had been suppressed by those people on Wall Street for too long. It was said that the 2008 financial crisis was originally triggered by those on Wall Street to divert the financial crisis, leading to a global financial storm. Those people transferred their domestic debts to the world, making everyone globally carry the blame. This led to setbacks in Hong Kong's finance, and they were heavily impacted, bearing a lot of blame for those on Wall Street. Many of their good friends left the finance industry. The financial tower in Hong Kong saw a crisis. With the number of financial companies reduced from 100 to 50, no one knows how many people, after going bankrupt, went to the rooftop. Finance is too ruthless. And those on Wall Street are even more despicable. They had thought about challenging, but who had the strength? Who dared to challenge? Because losing meant losing everything. Only Qin Fei dared to confront Wall Street so openly. Mr. Qin is domineering. Mr. Qin is amazing. Mr. Qin is so powerful. I believe in Mr. Qin. I want to work with Mr. Qin. I support Mr. Qin. He is my idol. Qin Fei felt the enthusiasm of his subordinates, smiled, and quickly locked onto a target, which was also the largest trading market. The international trading market has a significant impact globally. The crude oil futures market, the main crude oil futures, and several stock trends were his focus. He glanced at them and immediately confirmed the target, placing on the big screen. From now on, we will trade crude oil futures, starting with the contract from 1998, focusing on the main contracts. We will target 5 main contracts: 981-209, 990-109, 990-209, 990-309, and 990,409, with the first 2 as the main ones and the last 3 as support. We're going to make a move on crude oil futures. He presented the data in front of everyone, drawing their attention. The trends of several crude oil futures were at 103 to 105. This is the dollar market, and of course, the largest fluctuation in dollar trading goes up to 110. After all, crude oil is something that those capitalists from the lighthouse country love to play with and hype up. This time, Qin Fei chose crude oil specifically to confront Wall Street. He was determined to succeed. He said arrogantly, "Our goal is to drive it down to 90, making global crude oil prices fall below 90. The crowd looked at each other. After all, a drop to 90 is terrifying. It's not that it hasn't happened before, but to drop so much within a single trading session is too frightening. Those on Wall Street would definitely not sit idly by. If it really drops that dramatically, they would surely push it up frantically to stabilize oil prices. This is the foundation for the lighthouse country to control much of the economy. For them, oil prices cannot drop. They would surely stabilize it at 110. The crowd took a deep breath, understanding Qin Fei's determination, which made them admire him. Mao Wenyuan and Lan Deming also acknowledged that Qin Fei's youth gave him the capital to be so audacious when they were young. They too had once disregarded everything and moved forward without hesitation, which is how they achieved their current status and worth. They wouldn't mock Qin Fei. In the finance world, no one can mock anyone. They recognized Qin Fei's strength and status, and in their eyes, there was only admiration. The two couldn't help but speak up. Mr. Qin, this time, are we really going to push crude oil prices down? I'm sure those financial organizations on Wall Street will react. I'm certain they will put out trillions of dollars. Mr. Mao is right. At least $1 trillion is what those people on Wall Street can come up with. But how much capital can we mobilize? They looked over with puzzled expressions, while Qin Fei remained calm and said softly, I have $100 billion that I can exchange. The crowd's expressions changed again. Could this tenfold difference in funds really succeed? If this succeeds, it will definitely create a new legendary history. Qin Fei was very confident. He had the market trends displayed on the big screen and had his 10 subordinates each take dozens of accounts. He started to make predictions. He predicted the trends of the two main crude oil futures contracts, then exchanged $100 billion, distributing it among these people. Now, he needed to start reversing the future trend and initiate a wave of price drops. He received the predicted trends and began to give orders. From now on, my words are absolute. You will do whatever I say. No opposition, no hesitation allowed. Now, give me $103, directly pull it down, drop it to $100. Then sell it at $98. The crowd looked at each other in surprise. They never expected Qin Fei to initiate a price drop right away. The momentum was too strong. From the very beginning, was he planning to catch that group on Wall Street off guard? They exchanged glances. Although they felt uneasy, they still followed Qin Fei's orders, buying into the crude oil drop and placing a lot of orders. Then they bought low and sold high, creating a price drop. This was a commonly used tactic, and the 10 of them were operating frantically. People around were watching, and some had strange expressions. After all, even if Qin Fei was a financial genius from Hong Kong, to directly initiate a price drop upon arrival was too reckless. They still felt quite uneasy. If the initial price drop was not discovered by those on Wall Street, it would be fine, but if they found out, I believe that the Wall Street crowd would definitely not allow it to drop. Yes, but how could $100 billion in trading not attract attention? Those people would definitely keep an eye on this fund. Mr. Qin is indeed young and vigorous. If I were a few years younger, I would have the same courage. But what if you have courage? You can't compare your operational skills to Mr. Qin's. Just wait and see, Mr. Qin will definitely teach that group from Wall Street a lesson. If Mr. Qin dares to play this way, he must have confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't have his current worth. Perhaps he is already holding the winning hand. The crowd was very eager to see what would happen, believing that Qin Fei was not blindly initiating a price drop and must have his own plans. Chapter 99. The Master S operations are impressive. Crude oil futures began to decline from 101, creating a significant downward parabolic curve. This made onlookers gasp. Everyone's heart started to race. Their hearts were in their throats as they watched the trends on the big screen, holding their breath. Everyone knew that each drop represented enormous fluctuations in numbers. An asset of $100 billion was no longer something that ordinary large institutions and securities firms could come up with. Even if a company had trillions in operational funds, they could not possibly invest all that money into a single futures market. Unless they had 100% certainty, such actions would only lead to profit. Otherwise, it would be reckless to proceed. Now, Qin Fei had poured $100 billion into the market, with over $90 billion in buying pressure driving the price down, starting from between 101 and 102. Meanwhile, the transaction fees and the assets used to pull down the price were around $10 billion. This meant that if the two main crude oil contracts, one for 0812 and the other for 0901, did not drop below 100, Qin Fei would at least incur losses of over $10 billion. Only if the price fell below 99 could they start making profits. Reaching 98 would allow them to recover their profits while earning substantial funds. Therefore, everyone was watching to see when the price would break through 100. If it couldn't break through 100, there would be no hope at all. Fortunately, the downward fluctuations were evident. On the big screen, several main crude oil futures were all declining. The 0812 contract was at 101. 8 down 0. 2. The 0901 contract was at 101. 6 down 0. 4. After one fluctuation, a second wave came. The 0812 oil contract was at 101. 5 down 0. 3. The 0901 contract was at 101. 1 down 0. 9. As the 0901 contract first dropped below 101, reaching 100. 9. Everyone was excited and couldn't help but cheer. It had dropped. It was really down to 100. 9. About to break 100, continue dropping, keep falling. Mr. Chin is impressive. Mr. Chin is mighty. As it continues to drop, Mr. Chin is sure to secure a huge profit. They were already beginning to profit, with several accounts doubling their leverage profits to over 10. This wave had brought profits of 8 billion. 8 billion fully recaptured the operational funds, and once it fell below 100, they would start making profits, and in that moment, several $100 million could change hands in an instant. Indeed, how impressive. Quickly drop below 100, it's already at 100. 5. The 0901 contract is dropping too fast. As Qin Fei's subordinates, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming were also visibly excited. This was far more enjoyable than their own trading. After all, they had never so easily driven down a data point. Qin Fei had said to let it drop below 100. He just went straight for 100 without any suspense. As soon as Qin Fei ordered the drop, the main crude oil contracts began to fall. If there were truly a God in the world, then Mr. Qin would be the messenger of the divine. One word from him could make crude oil futures fall. His words were worth more than gold. A single word was worth 1,000 pieces of gold. And this was not just 1,000. 1,000 taels of gold were worth so much. This was an asset of hundreds of billions of dollars. Compared to 1,000 taels, it was worth countless times more. Now, they were all beaming, bursting into laughter. This time, they were sure to break 100. Mr. Qin, we're going to make a big profit this time. Yes, Mr. Qin. We made the most with the 0901 contract. Later, we'll sell off the 0812 contract and use everything to buy the 0901 drop. Qin Fei's expression was calm. 2 data trends appeared in his mind, and he had control over the trends for the next few hours. He understood every slight fluctuation, carefully analyzing and locking onto a point from the constantly changing future trends. He spoke slowly. Don't rush. Those people on Wall Street will definitely enter the market. Don't sell 0812. This time, there will be small fluctuations. Everyone don't panic. Qin Fei had given a precautionary warning in advance, and everyone could only see that at 100. 1. It had stopped declining and remained still. The several 0901 contracts completely stopped moving. Just like that, the downward trend suddenly halted, and at 100. 1. It even rose slightly, reaching 100. 2. And before long, it returned to 100. 3. Heading towards an average price around 100. 5. Everyone's expressions were uncertain as they watched this number move. They understood that someone was not planning to let crude oil fall. Sure enough, the people from Wall Street had taken action. Now was the critical moment. Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming looked tense, their expressions grim. They had had numerous encounters with the people from Wall Street, starting from the 2008 financial crisis, when they boosted the Hang Seng Index while the U.S. stock market fell, and Forex rose. They understood the terror of those people. Because of this, they felt a bit nervous as they saw the rise reach 0. 2. They anxiously turned to Qin Fei and said, "No, this is bad, Mr. Qin. It has risen to 100. 5. If it rises to 101, all our efforts will be in vain. Yes, if we close our positions now, we can still make a little profit. Mr. Qin, should we close our positions now?" The two managed over 10 accounts and were ready to close their positions immediately to maximize profits. Qin Fei remained calm, watching everything with composure, and said lightly, "Let us wait a bit longer. Don't close the positions yet." 101. 5 is definitely the last critical point. It won't break, trust me. Mao and Yuan and Lon Deming exchanged glances. If it were them, they would have likely closed their positions by now, but Qin Fei wanted to wait until 100. 5. They were very tense, watching everything unfold. Now, the large hall was filled with over 200 people, all staring at the big screen, not daring to breathe. The sound of a pin dropping could be heard. They didn't even dare to breathe. They watched the fluctuating numbers on the big screen, gripping the hearts of countless individuals. They noticed that several main crude oil contracts had risen to 145. This point had not reached 105. It fell again, returning to around 100. 3. The main crude oil contract 0901 even dropped below 100. 2. Returning to 100. 1. This time, everyone let out a sigh of relief. And Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming were also brightened, full of excitement. Mr. Qin, you're amazing. It really came back. It's back to 100. 1. Mr. Qin is truly a god. He even knew that 105 would rise. If it had been me earlier, I would have sold off by now. Indeed, even I wouldn't dare to hold on like this. I really can't compare to Mr. Qin. Indeed, no one can match Qin Fei's ability to accurately predict the price. Those people from Wall Street who wanted to push it up? What a joke. He sneered continuously, watching the price drop to 100, about to break through 99. At that moment, he immediately gave another order. Sell all 0901 contracts at 99. 5. And buy all 08 main contracts to pull it down. Everyone was stunned, not expecting Qin Fei to be so decisive. Abandoning other main contracts to focus solely on this one. Was the 08 contract the one that would drop the most? To be honest, until now, no one really believes it. Even the two veterans, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming, couldn't help but speak up. They advised, Mr. Qin, the 08 contract is falling the slowest. The 0901 is the fastest. We can trade 0901. Why 08? That's right. And if we sell at 99, $5, we can't maximize our profits. I feel it can drop to $99. Qin Fei shook his head. He knew his funds couldn't compare to those of Wall Street. Therefore, he had to leverage his strengths and avoid weaknesses. He knew that the group on Wall Street planned to mainly focus on several contracts in 09. So he decided to shift funds. His expression showed no hesitation as he continued. Once it hits 99, $5, close all my positions and transfer to the 0812 contract. My word is absolute, understood? Close all positions. After all, this was Qin Fei taking the lead, and it was also Qin Fei's fund. They didn't dare say anything. They just wore expressions of astonishment, and when it hit 99, $5, they all closed their positions. In fact, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming were reluctant to close their positions. They had to take profits at 99. 5, even if the total profit exceeded $10 billion. But they still felt it was too wasteful. If they waited a bit longer, it might reach $99. Sigh, I feel like we sold too early, Mr. Qin. Look, 99. For it's about to break. Mr. Qin, we should check again. If it reaches $99, we could make hundreds of billions more. Now, that 99, for is about to break, we can hold on a bit longer. However, Qin Fei didn't care at all, calmly watching the current trend without saying a word. Everyone looked again at the falling 09 crude oil contracts, believing it would definitely drop below $99. Who knew that after 99? For it surged again, actually breaking through $100. The rise was 0.6, not to mention that with global finance being released, a large amount of funds from Wall Street poured into the crude oil market. A crazy bullish sentiment, wildly pushing down crude oil. Everyone gasped, looking at those news reports, and all present were dumbfounded, shocked beyond words. They couldn't believe all this news had been anticipated by Qin Fei long ago. Otherwise, why would Qin Fei sell at 99? 5, directly escaping as massive funds from Wall Street poured in, not confronting the trillion-dollar giants of Wall Street head-on. Major Wall Street companies were pulling back funds, speculating on crude oil, and there would be a big surge in crude oil. Global oil extraction companies indicated that oil reserves were decreasing, and this time there would be an oil shortage crisis, leading to a rise in oil prices. The difficulty of extracting oil was increasing, and oil would become a scarce commodity. Chapter 100, a profit of $10 billion? Numerous messages have emerged about the scarcity of crude oil, which is just a tactic used by some capitalists on Wall Street. The goal is to create a positive sentiment for crude oil, leading to a surge in prices. And indeed, the objective has been achieved as they pushed several contracts for crude oil in 2009 to over 100. The only one that hasn't risen is the 0812 crude oil, which remains at 99.5. This has left many people astonished. Meanwhile, the two veterans assisting Qin Fei, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming, without saying a word, directly began operating various accounts, heavily betting against the 0812 contract. They didn't need Qin Fei to explain. They already knew that the main force behind the 0812 crude oil was the real deal. Only by driving it down could they achieve the profits they wanted. Fortunately, they had previously sold off all other 09 contracts, and as they watched those contracts continue to rise, they breathed a sigh of relief. They were glad they hadn't insisted on shorting earlier. Otherwise, they would have been left with nothing. The people on Wall Street were too aggressive. As soon as the price hit 99.5, they began to surge, clearly aiming to wipe them out. Thankfully, they managed to escape in time, all thanks to Mr. Qin. Mr. Qin is truly remarkable. If they hadn't gotten out at 99.5, they would have been doomed. Yes, Lon Deming, feel inferior. I previously blamed Mr. Qin for selling too early, but now I realize I'm the worthless one, unworthy of playing in finance. It's not that I, Mao Wenyuan, don't control a few trillion Hong Kong dollars, but I genuinely admire Mr. Qin from the bottom of my heart. He is my idol, my God. Both veterans were filled with emotion, and others shared the same sentiment. Qin Fei had twice completely avoided and outsmarted the traps set by Wall Street, successfully profiting and escaping this time. The firepower was all directed at the 08 contract. This left the people on Wall Street dumbfounded, as they had invested all their capital and assets into the 0901 and 0902 crude oil futures. If they didn't manage to make Qin Fei incur losses, their investments would be hard to retrieve. To try and ambush Qin Fei again would require an additional few trillion dollars. How could they possibly have that much money left? They had already sunk trillions into the market, and after failing, it would be impossible to withdraw that amount in a short time. No matter how wealthy American capital might be, they couldn't just pull out trillions of dollars in assets at once. This time, they wouldn't be able to push the prices up again. The 0812 crude oil futures began to fall, breaking below 99 and heading towards 98. Qin Fei didn't sell. He planned to let it drop to the lowest point, close to 96, before selling, as he wasn't in a hurry. The current decline was quite stable. The future trend was also expected to continue falling, especially with the 0812 crude oil futures dropping, which would also lead to slight declines in 0901 and 0902. If all of them fell, the thousands of billions of dollars invested by Wall Street would incur losses of hundreds of billions. He felt quite pleased watching the trends on the big screen, and everyone else was also feeling joyful and relaxed. And if anyone was feeling unhappy, it was the group on Wall Street that had invested heavily. Fuck, keep pushing it down, keep pushing it down. What are you doing? Why hasn't the 0812 contract dropped? What are you up to? A securities firm on Wall Street, which was the main operator this time, had its head, Yamatai, managing $1 trillion, all thrown into the market. They aimed to swallow the funds of anyone daring to play with crude oil. Little did they know, once their assets were invested and spread across several 09 crude oil futures, the opposing funds retreated and everyone ran away. It was as if they anticipated his ambush. Now, they were left empty-handed while the 08 main contracts, due to less capital invested, began to plummet. He looked pale, staring blankly as his beneficial crude oil futures also fell. His losses reached $100 billion. Unable to contain himself, he quickly took out his phone to call for capital. But none of his investors had money to lend him. Even if they had money, they didn't want to lend it, as the current situation had already caused panic among many American investors. The good news regarding crude oil futures had not led to a price increase. Instead, it fell below 97. They couldn't help but panic, and they specifically warned Yamatai. Yamatai, we won't lend you a penny. You have $1 trillion now, and you can't even deal with a single Chinese person. What are you doing? Yamatai, now that you have $1 trillion, how much more do you want? You couldn't drive down prices with $1 trillion. What makes you think you can do it with more? Yamatai was anxious, watching the 08 crude oil futures drop below 97 and reach 96. He knew the opposing side was planning to sell and escape. If they managed to sell at the lowest price, all his expenses would be in vain. He couldn't absorb this capital. He faced serious consequences. He had to borrow money, had to get funds to counter. I guarantee, just give me 500 billion. No, 200 billion would be enough. With 200 billion, I can definitely bring them down. Even as he said this, the other side was still unwilling to lend him a single cent and revealed something that left Yamatai stunned, completely petrified. Yamatai, we won't lend you a penny, not even $1. I must tell you, your opponent is the Qin Foundation from China. Their capital is only 100 billion. He toyed with you with just 100 billion. Yamatai was completely shocked. He had never expected that his opponent had only 100 billion. The difference was more than tenfold. He felt humiliated, and he was now on the verge of despair. He couldn't understand why there were people in China capable of operating so terrifyingly. Who on earth was this kid? He could only continue calling to borrow money. But soon the call reached the stock god Buffett. Buffett directly spoke, and his heart sank. Yamatai, just close your position. Don't play with him anymore. I know who he is. A friend of mine lost him last time. No one can outplay him. He is even more formidable than the sun god, hitting the exact points. Don't say you have an extra 1 trillion or even 10 trillion now. It won't matter. Yamatai's face turned pale upon hearing Buffett's words. He realized he was in a losing situation. Even with a few extra $1 trillion, he couldn't win. With a bitter smile, he could only give up. He had no choice but to close his position now, as no one would lend him money. He couldn't just stand by and watch himself lose 300 billion, swallowing the bitter pill. He had never experienced such failure, being defeated by a Chinese person. He was too unwilling to accept it. The 08 crude oil main contract fell below 96. On Qin Fei's side, many people were already excited and exhilarated, eagerly watching the big screen ahead. The trends displayed on the big screen, with all data declining, were the best testament to Qin Fei's strength and results. The 10 traders assisting Qin Fei were also thrilled, as this decline meant they were making a fortune. They didn't yet know how much they would earn, but every account showing profits indicated that this time they truly hit the jackpot. Hundreds of billions of dollars in profit were absolutely guaranteed. They successfully executed a short sell this time, completely reaping a wave of profits, earning hundreds of billions of dollars. They had never made money so joyfully before. This was money taken from those people on Wall Street. The two veterans, Mao Wenyuan and Lon Deming, were even more beaming, laughing heartily. They helped tally the earnings, and in the end, after calculating all the revenues, they reported to Qin Fei. With a loud voice, they reported the results of this statistic. Mr. Qin, we have calculated the earnings, deducting some fees and a portion of the funds consumed during the short sell. Our earnings stand at $56.5 billion. This time, our total revenue reached $56.5 billion, nearly $60 billion. Everyone gasped in disbelief at this figure. After all, this was in dollars. Even if it weren't in dollars, nearly 60 billion Hong Kong dollars is still absolutely staggering. Not to mention, this is in dollars. $60 billion is several hundred billion Hong Kong dollars. The crowd looked at everything, their expressions changing, filled with astonishment. $56.5 billion. How much is that in Hong Kong dollars? It must exceed 400 billion Hong Kong dollars, right? Not just 400 billion Hong Kong dollars, with the dollar warming up a bit. It should be around 500 billion Hong Kong dollars. My God, a profit of 500 billion Hong Kong dollars from a single short sell. Mr. Qin is indeed a stock god. But let's not forget whom Mr. Qin won against. He directly defeated Wall Street, so earning 500 billion Hong Kong dollars is only natural. Unfortunately, I didn't personally engage in this operation. I was too excited. From the moment we started buying at the bottom until now, I truly couldn't stop being excited. Others felt the same. They were also unable to contain their excitement. Qin Fei tallied the funds. The total assets in the account had reached $156.5 billion. Converted to Hong Kong dollars, it surely exceeded 1 trillion. This operation was executed well, and the profits were significant. His cash had surpassed 1 trillion Hong Kong dollars, and it was approaching 2 trillion. With a smile, he said to the traders who helped operate, "This time, everyone has worked hard. As agreed, I will take out $600 million as your reward. Each of you can receive $60 million. These people